All right, welcome to Madrid Forge. Today we're going to demonstrate how I make my rounding hammers. I make them from 1045 steel. This is 3 3/8 long. The diameter on this is 1 3/4 inch. And I've been lucky enough to have a friend of mine come in, Gavin Cooper, to do some recording. And we're going to go through the process. Starts from here and finishes here. Welcome to Madrid Forge. 1045 for me, I know this isn't for everybody, has been more consistent. So if I'm making 100 hammers, usually I can get 100 hammers consistently hard in the same. Go, make a little flat spot here. To the side. Now we'll go in with this grip. Lengthen the hammers out. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to upfold. Like I've done before, do a little bit on each side. Try to keep it evenly. apart and determine the downside, flat side from the get-go, but I prefer to just make them both flat and go from there. Go back in the eye, just screw it up from both sides. Work on cheeking. I will be cheeking around the eye. I prefer to do this handheld drift here. As I put it in, I just make sure it's staying square and straight. And again, a little at a time. Some more from the other side. Yeah, I kind of just work that heat because I know the next one's coming. I'm doing 2 at a time, so I keep it moving. Just keep it moving, keep the steel hot. Taking it out, and I'm working up the size of that eye. Because I'm working the top side of that drift, my eye will be more of a hourglass shape. The hourglass shape will help to hold hammer handles in there. Yeah, this is more of my production. Make sure that eye is on there, that drift is on the eye straight, so whenever I go to put my handles in, they go in straight with the head. You can see just taking little bites and everything forward nice and even.
And you call this step cheeking it or cheek?
Yeah, this is cheeking.
Cheeking.
Yeah, you're fullering out the cheeks. That's fullering out the cheeks.
Fullering out the cheeks.
Fullering out the cheeks. Cheeks are beautiful. You can see it's starting to finish out.
Is there a desired thickness you shoot for on your cheeks?
I don't want to get these too thin here, but I know I'm in a good spot and I'm at the end of my drift. I know once I get up in here, it's time to wrap it up. I know that's a good spot, and I try to take them to the same spot every time, so my eyes are consistently sized.
Probably helps with handling them, and
they're real similar every time. When I go to handle them, my handles are fitting more consistent. There's no telling how many hammers This drift has gone in the eyes, cheeked out forged hammers. So I'm about ready to finish it up here. I'm just going to go in nice and smooth here. Right about there. That one there, I'm going to do one more time and stamp it.
Is there a particular reason why you like the sides of the cheeks to be wavy like that versus ground up flat?
Yeah, it just leaves a texture finish. And I like that texture finish. I think it looks cool. It looks like something was forged.
Personal preference?
Yeah, personal preference. I could forge them smooth and then grind them, but I like to leave that character to them.
Yeah, it's unique to your own style.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go ahead and put our touch mark on here. That way they know who made it. When I'm dead and gone, people will know who made this, made these tools. It's not a real high-tech situation here, but there's no telling how many hammers I've punched with that.
Getting work.
It's been worked. Cool. I'll go through and finish and pull her in. Just make it nice and clean. I'm trying to do my best getting the slide off. This is horrible for sliding up. Finished forged hammer. From there it'll sit in the coke and be annealed. When we're done with the annealing, we'll go to the next process. Heat shrink.
And this is the part you said is annealing?
Yeah, I'll just let them cool down real slow right there. That coke insulates the heat, so it allows it to slowly cool down, which will give it the effect of annealing. So that'll somewhat normalize it or even soften it slightly. And then from there, we can grind. So that'll help with easier grinding. And then heat treat after that initial grind.
So basically just don't light the fire in there and forget them hammers
Oh
in
no,
there.
yeah, no, that's the visitor side. The home side is on this side, so normally when I'm practicing, I'm over here.
On this side.
All right, next step after the forging is all done, we come to this point here, and I decide what I'm gonna make my flat side and my round side. So depending on the hammer, if I'm making an off-weighted hammer, I would pick this is my flat side and this is my round side. If I'm doing an even weighted hammer, I'm gonna pick this is my flat side and this is my round side. So that's what I'm gonna do for this demonstration purposes. This will be my flat side, and this will be my round side. So I'm gonna go ahead and...
Do you pick this side here because there's more material there to round it off?
Yeah, more material to round off, and that way I can grind that more to make it evenly. If I go flat here, it's just flat and done.
I see.
So, and this round is going to be obviously shorter by the time it rounds up. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like it's easier. And there's many ways. I mean, you ask 10 different guys and they'll give you 10 different answers. But for me, that's how I'm going to go about this, and we'll go from there.
Start grinding.
Yes, sir. This belt is a 40 grit, so it's going to be taking lots of material fast. So I want to get to the point real quick. So I start on my face. I'm just looking down the top, and I quarter turn each time. Quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn. I'm holding my hammer square to my flat. Square, square, so that way it gets it as flat as I can. I'm looking down. That gets me to a good flat point. Then I'm going to take my edge and I'm just going to knock that corner off. So there's roughed out. Then I'm going to come in here and I look in my eye and see where my head is. I'm just going to clean up the sides of this head. I'm holding it steady with this left hand. Keep it even. And applying even pressure. And when I've got it pretty close, I'll look down and make sure everything is staying square with my eye. And I'll come here on my soft side of the belt and finish up lightly. Now I've got that face flat. I'm going to come here with the slack of the belt, and I'm just going to let it kind of float across there. And I'm slightly making, using the slack allows my face to become slightly convex. I don't want it concave, I want it convex. If your face is concave, you'll hit the corner before the center. I want to hit the center before the corner. So what I mean by that is convex is slightly this way, right? So when I'm grinding on that slack, it's slightly grinding like that instead of flat or concave. If it's concave, you'll put edge, you'll hit the edges in your shoes or whatever you're working on. A lot of times you'll see a dent, and that's what it's coming from. But if it's convex, then the center's hitting and the edge will hit secondary. So I want that center piece doing the majority of that forging. And that'll allow me to forge nice and flat. And what I'm talking about here is real minor. It's not real, I'm not talking
Not real
aggressive.
pronounced.
It's real close to flat, but slightly convex. All four sides here. And just go back and forth. Right now I'm starting to put the round in, taking that corner out. You could forge this in the beginning to adjust for your grinding. You don't have to grind as much. But being that I forged both sides flat, I have to grind this way. So that's the downside. It's a little more stock removal this way. So you can see I put a good bevel on there. Now I'm going to start going here and just rounding it up. So start in the center of the hammer and I just work it back and forth and make it round. Quarter turn. 4 quarter turns will get me the whole head. So you can see it's rounded up. And we're pretty close to being even to our flat side. I'll just do a little bit more off the center to my edges. A little more out of the center to my edges. So I've got a good round side. I'm just going to take this very edge right here and smooth that up. I'm going to come to the slack of the belt and just go through the process one more time. And this just blends everything in real nice and neat. This will finish off my round side. And I'll come right here, look down my eye, see where the head is according to that eye, and just slightly grind it. Nice and easy. Holding with my left hand and making sure it's staying square. Pinch it down if it's a little warm. Come back. And I'm just going to even this all up. One more time. So you can see I just do a little at a time and keep looking at it in between. That way it ends up right where I want it. I look down my eye, through the head, on all 4 sides. Get it even. I got a little high spot here, so I'm going to hit that. Okay, I've got my hammer rough ground, so at this point, I'll go to heat treat. Well, my heat treat consists of 3 heats to a non-magnetic heat, and I let them air cool each heat. I let it air cool. Once that's done, those 3 heats are passed, I will take 1 heat and harden.
Do you use a mandrel for the heat treating?
Though that's in the
Or that's
tempering.
tempering.
This here, what I'm talking about here is thermal cycling first, and then harden the whole hammer. And then once it's all hardened, I'll show you that next step, then we'll do the tempering.
Okay.
Okay, we have our hammer ground. Now at this point, I'm gonna take it in and we're gonna do a thermal cycling. It's 3 heats. I take it up to a non-magnetic, let it air cool, and then we'll harden after that. So for today we're doing 1, but on my typical tool making process, I'm usually doing a batch of anywhere from 4 to 10. That's usually my my spread right there. Anywhere from there, 4 to 10. So usually seeing one at a time for video purposes, but on a day-to-day production wise, I'm usually doing from 4 to 10.
And will you have them all kind of at various stages, or you'll do them all, so you do each step at the 4 to 10 at a time?
4 to 10.
And then you just...
So if I forged 4 and I'm doing a batch of 4, it's 4 hardened, 4 tempered, 4 handled, 4 finished. If I'm doing 10, it's grind 10, on and on and on.
And then initially you just forge 2 at a time though. 2 at a time until you get to the 10.
The forging is all done 2 at a time.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now it's just a waiting game where we let that get up to non-magnetic and then you just let it air cool. We won't bore you too much with that because that's just bringing it up, let it cool, and then we'll rock on to the next step, finish grinding.
Yep. All right, so I get my heat up just to about a little bit past the red to an orange. I let it cool down. I put it in here in my forge. What's important when I'm doing this is to turn the lights off. And that'll give you an idea of when that heat is totally out of the hammer. Because I don't take another heat in this thermal cycling process until the color is gone. So you want to make sure that color is all the way out. And one way to do that is by turning off the lights.
It's got the second thermal cycle, and then you'll end up just doing one more after that, right?
And then we'll harden it. Just trying to get an even heat here. One head was slightly cooler than the other. So I'm looking in the dark so I can find that good consistent heat. And I'm just going to heat up this side. I think I'm good there. As I quench this, I go in a figure-8 motion. That was taught to me by some blacksmiths to help quench evenly. And you can kind of
help circulate the water, right?
As well, yeah. It circulates all around the hammer, in and out. Figure-8 motion. And you can see how it's quenched and it's kind of got that white. Robert Jukes calls it the speckled egg. That usually is a good indication that your hammer's hard. So now, next process is going to be grinding to a finish and then tempering. So what that does is it tempers your head so they're not fractious, and it softens the center of the hammer. So when you temper with your drift, your hot drift, the center is soft and your heads are hard. So that allows good rebound, allows the inertia of the hammer to go somewhere.
Sick.
That's what prevents the jarring. All right, this hammer has been hardened. Now we're headed to the next stage. I'm gonna wire wheel all the slag off and I'm gonna finish grinding the heads and we will go to a tempering stage after that.
Fresh and clean.
Huh?
Fresh and clean.
All freshened up, ready for the dance. Hammer cleaned up with the wire wheel, and now I'm just gonna go through and start finishing the grinding. I'm gonna drop down in grit. So I started at 40 grit, now we're hitting a 120 grit, and then we'll hit a 220 grit and finish at that point. So we hit it with the 120, now we're gonna hit the 220. To the 220 grit, I'm gonna go to my buffing wheels here and finish it off. All right, all finished. Now we're ready for tempering. All right, time to do some tempering. These are my drifts that go in hot. These are my tempering drifts.
And these drifts, they're just mild steel, basically?
No, these are sucker rod.
Sucker rod?
Yeah, just some scraps I had from tong making.
Yeah.
The ends, and I just draw them out and use them as hot drifts.
Just alternate them back and forth?
Yeah. They don't need to be, you can use mild steel.
Yeah.
But I just had those end pieces, so I used them. I'll show you what they look like. So these are what I draw out into my drift. They're the end pieces of the long sucker rod, and I use the sucker rod to make my tongs. They're my tong blanks, and then this is a scrap piece that I had laying around, so I just draw it out and use it for a hot drift.
Good use for it, huh?
Yeah. At this point, we just wait. We'll go in the eye both directions until these start to turn a straw color. So after several heats, you'll get to see that color change. Once it hits that straw, we know we've hit our temper. In here, all the cheek in there is going to turn purple, and all that heat's going to dissipate into the heads, and your heads will turn straw. But it's coming. You can see it start to come. See it? It's starting to change there.
Getting some color change.
Yeah, you'll see that straw. The heads have turned straw. It's time to totally quench it off. We just go back in that salt water, and it's done. I go in the oil after because it's salt water. And the oil just helps with the salt rusting the steel. That's my whole thing with the oil. The oil's not really doing much but preventing the total rusting. There's other ways you can do it, but that's one way. That's one way around it.
Sweet.
Now from there we go to putting the handle in.
Making handles. Okay,
you can find these handles on my website. This is what I use to do all my handles. When I begin, I look through the eye and look at what I have for material on my wood handle and go to grinding from there. So I'm just a little bit wide here, so I'm going to start there. So I've done a little bit of shaping there to tighten that up. So then I can go through and look at it again. And I've gotten pretty close. Now I'm just a little bit tight on the sides, so I'll address that. And also I'm going to shape up my handle just a little bit. It's a little bit round for me, so I just come through and I flatten each side. And I try to hold it square with the eye so that my handle is not twisted one way or the other. That's a little more pleasing to the hand. And we'll check our eye and see where we're at. We're pretty close. It looks like it's going to be a good snug fit. You can see down through the eye there. I might just need a little bit more off the sides, but I'm real close. So I have a little bit of excess length here, so I'm just going to mark with my pencil and lop that off and then split it down the middle. Mark it, see where I'm at. I need to move over a little bit. Okay, now before I put I've got it set up, before I put it in, I'm just going to grind a little bit of a V at the top, so whenever my wood is in the eye there, I can slide a wood wedge in. It's got a little opening. If I just do it right now and it pinches, I might not be able to get it in, get the wood wedge in. So. I just do that at the very top.
Yep.
Then put the wood in. See how we're looking. See how it squares up to the wood there, and it's pretty good. Just gonna go a little bit tighter, and you can hear it kind of get solid. It's good and tight there. So now we're good, ready to put a wood wedge in. So now my wedge here is a little bit wider than the eye. Now you can just jam it in and let the wood splinter off, but I trim it up and make it the appropriate size. Okay, now we're ready to put the wood wedge in. As it goes in, I make sure it goes in nice and straight. You'll hear it kind of get solid. You hear it kind of get solid there, then I know I'm done. So I'll trim the excess off with my bandsaw and then grind it nice and evenly. You can do it right there. Now I grind it even with the eye there, and I leave just a little bit of wood sticking up so it mushrooms around it. The wood will split a little bit, but not much. And after I put the linseed oil, it'll stay nice and mushroomed in there. Wood wedges here, my metal wedges here. I go in the center there, get it started, and then drive it in. Come in with another one. Took those wedges nice and tight, and everything is mushroomed up and ready to go. So at this point now, I'll hit it with my rasp and burn the handle and let it soak in linseed oil. I'm just cleaning up any little imperfections. And I'll feel how it feels in my hand. It feels good. Maybe just a hair big for me, but I leave it a little bit fat because some of that's going to burn off. But also, if a guy wants to adjust that, he can always rasp a little bit off himself. I'd rather have it a little bit big and then you take it to where you want it than too small and not have enough to work with. I just brush all the ash off and open up those grains a little bit, and I'll put it in the oil. Let this just marinate in the linseed oil.
How long you let it sit in the linseed?
So I'll let it sit in there. If I'm doing a batch, it's in just a couple of minutes. So then I'll set it go from there, and then it goes right here. And all these coffee cans have linseed oil at the bottom. So the head just sits in the linseed. And that I'll leave overnight.
Just to help swell and soak up in there.
Yeah, let that head just absorb all that linseed oil.
Hope you guys enjoyed watching this process. I've already gotten to do a process with Riley Kirkpatrick making a hammer and Troy Wood making a hammer. And Chris Madrid, he's also on the scene, you know, making the best hammers and putting them out there. So thanks for showing me your process.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming. And yeah, if anyone's interested in any of my tools that I sell, hammers to tongs to little ins and outs here and there, go to madridforge.com and you can find what you're looking for. And we just appreciate everybody coming by and checking it out. We, always like to share a little bit of what's going on, and you get to see my day-to-day process of what happens in here.
And they've stayed up to the test of time. You know, they can take a beating.
I use my hammers and my tools, and yeah, we keep on forging away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.